You are watching Battle of Britain, a digital learning session from Thurrock Museum. Welcome to our virtual classroom. There are 5 of these videos altogether, lettered A to E. Battle of Britain, Phase 1. This session is about Phase 1 of the Battle of Britain, where the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, attacked ships coming into Britain. From the 10th of July to the 11th of August 1940, the Luftwaffe attacked ships in the English Channel. These ships were bringing the raw materials Britain needed to fight the war from countries around the world. 30,000 tons of essential supplies went to the bottom of the sea during these attacks. Most of Britain's food at this time came from abroad. Luckily, a system was already in place that meant the food that was in the UK was shared out fairly. Do you know what this system was called? If you said rationing, you are correct. If you said dig for victory, you are on the right lines too. People were encouraged to grow their own. Although fruits and vegetables were not rationed, certain things like bananas, oranges, or anything that can't be grown in the UK started to become a rare sight in wartime Britain. When you went to the shops, it wasn't good enough just to have money in your pocket. You had to have your ration book with you as well. It would have a few personal details on the front, and inside, the first thing you'd have to do is choose which shops you were going to go to. You wouldn't be able to change your mind and switch shops, even if they didn't have things in stock. Once you'd chosen your vendors, you had to stick with them. Sometimes, once the coupons had been used, they were cut out, crossed through, or, in the case here, the vendor has some colourful stamps that they were using. We are going to compare wartime rations to a modern shopping basket. What we see here represents 1 week, 7 days worth of food. In wartime Britain, you were allowed to buy, if you had the right coupons, 2 ounces of butter per week. That's about 50 grams. But you were allowed 100 grams of margarine as well. Fortunately, of course, present day, you can buy as much as you need for whatever recipe you're making. For cheese, you were also allowed 2 ounces, 50 grams. If you wanted a sandwich every day, try and imagine this cut into 7 pieces. That's about 7 grams per day. Give it a go if you'd like. Present day, of course, we can choose cheeses from around the world to keep our packed lunches interesting. You were allowed 8 ounces. That's about 225 grams of sugar. Special recipe books were circulated which had low sugar or no sugar options. Present day, of course, the restrictions have been lifted. You were allowed 2 ounces of lard. This could be used for a number of recipes, but let's say you'd like to make some pastry with it. Present day, things are a lot easier, of course. You could even just buy your pastry already made, or even go a step further and get an oven-ready pie. You were allowed 4 ounces of bacon. You could also choose meat up to the value of 1 shilling and 2 pence. Perhaps you choose a black sausage like this. Of course, if you were Jewish or Muslim, you'd have different coupons sent to you in wartime Britain. The same would also be true if you were vegetarian, like Sir Hugh Dowding himself. Present day, we also have a number of oven-ready items to choose from. For your wartime recipes, you were allowed 1 egg every 7 days. Good luck dividing that into 7 pieces. Of course, a lot of people kept chickens just so they could have a few more eggs. Present day, whatever our recipe calls for, we can easily get. Can you guess what Britain's favourite hot drink was in wartime? It was tea. But keep in mind, we can't grow tea in Britain. It would have to come by boat. The people on those boats would be risking their lives to bring it. For that reason, of course, you were only allowed 2 ounces. That's about 50 grams of tea per week. Present day, we can have what we need. Time for some good news, and it comes in the form of milk. In wartime Britain, you get 3 pints of the stuff every 7 days per person. It was decided with the absence of meat that this was the stuff that was going to keep us strong and healthy. There were several families from poorer backgrounds who actually ate better on rationing than they did before the war. Present day, I think I'd be quite happy with just 1 pint. There were, of course, exceptions to the rule, and the exception we're going to talk about is chocolate. Of course, a bar like this contains milk that was rationed and sugar. Obviously, the cocoa beans can't be grown in Britain, so you're asking someone to risk their life to bring it to you. As you might understand, an item like this would have to last considerably longer than a week. How long do you think this would have to last for? 1 month. Rationing meant that food that was grown in Britain or arrived by boat was shared out fairly. Wealthier people got less food, but in some cases poorer people got more. Rationing meant that even in hard times, no one was left with nothing. It's worth remembering that throughout the war, food still arrived in Britain from our allies, friendly countries from around the world who were supporting us against the Nazis. Throughout the war, people serving on those boats were regularly attacked by aeroplanes in the air and submarines under the water. By simply trying to bring food into Britain, people risked their lives and were sometimes killed. But attacking Britain's ships as a strategy could have worked and enabled the Nazis to win the war. In wartime Britain, if we had run out of food and started to starve, we may well have gone to our new Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, and asked him to negotiate surrender. He'd only come to power on the 10th of May 1940, and you'll remember that the Battle of Britain started in July of 1940. If the raw materials we needed to fight the war had stopped coming, we would have been defeated. We owe a lot to the merchant navy and allies around the world. When the ships were attacked, if they were near enough to England, the RAF would fly out to try and help them, shooting down and chasing off the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force aeroplanes. Hearing about this, Hermann Göring, head of the Luftwaffe, decided to switch tactics. In Phase 2 of the Battle of Britain, he wanted to defeat the RAF to clear the skies ahead of a Nazi invasion. If you'd like to find out more about Phase 2 of the Battle of Britain, please tune into the next session in this series. To find out more about how ordinary people were affected by the Battle of Britain, try out our World War II Homefront resource, which includes a rationing shopping game. Check the links below. Good work, everyone!